I'm Azaria Tagaya, and this is Nightline, the top stories. Special Police Task Force set up to probe fatal stabbing of Form 3 schoolgirl. And a sharp rise in bullying cases with 70% involving secondary school students. The nation has once again been shaken by a shocking criminal case involving school students. In the latest incident, a teenage girl from a secondary school in Petaling Jaya, Selangor was brutally stabbed to death by a male schoolmate on Tuesday morning. District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Shamsuddin Mahmud confirmed that a special task force has been set up to investigate the murder. According to Shamsuddin, police are still recording statements from relevant individuals to assist in the probe into the fatal stabbing that took place at the school in Bandar Utama.
Kita siasat dari semua sudut berkait dengan dakwaan motif kejadian dan sebagainya. So setakat ini siasatan kita mengambil keterangan daripada saksi-saksi termasuk pelajar-pelajar sekolah, guru-guru dan sebagainya. So berkenaan dengan isu motif, berkenaan dengan dakwaan, luahan perasaan dan sebagainya pun kita tengah narrow down lah sekarang ni.
The probe is being conducted thoroughly from multiple angles, including scene analysis, motive, statement recordings and evidence collection. The suspect, aged 14, and the victim, aged 16, were both studying in Form 1 and Form 3 remove classes, respectively. The suspect is believed to have stabbed the victim multiple times on her body with two sharp weapons in the girls' toilet around 9:10 a.m. A viral video recorded at the scene showed the victim being carried out on a stretcher. A teacher reportedly heard screams coming from the direction of the toilet and rushed over to see what was happening. The victim was then found lying in a pool of blood inside the toilet. Both weapons allegedly used in the attack have been seized. So far, authorities have determined that the incident was not related to bullying. The victim's body was sent to University Malaya Medical Center for post-mortem. The suspect, who was arrested at the scene, will be remanded at the Petaling Jaya Magistrates Court on Wednesday to assist in investigations under Section 302 of the Penal Code. Meanwhile, the Education Ministry has formed a special committee to ensure that all aspects related to the fatal stabbing incident are investigated thoroughly, transparently and fairly. In a statement, Minister Fadlina Siddiq said the ministry would provide its full cooperation to the police in their investigation. The ministry also recorded its deepest condolences to the victim's family and hoped that they would be granted strength and perseverance during this difficult time. In the meantime, the administrator of the school involved in the case will be temporarily reassigned to the District Education Office. Education Director General Muhammad Azam Ahmad said the reassignment will remain in effect until the investigation is completed.
Bagi membantu siasatan, pentadbir sekolah yang terlibat akan dipindahkan di Pejabat Pendidikan Daerah sehingga siasatan selesai dijalankan. Selain itu, pasukan kaunselor dan guru bimbingan kaunseling telah digerakkan bagi melaksanakan program intervensi sokongan psikososial kepada murid, guru dan seluruh warga sekolah yang terkesan.
Speaking at a special press conference in Putrajaya on Tuesday, he said classes will proceed as usual without disruption. Azam emphasized that the ministry views crimes occurring within school grounds seriously and will enhance security measures in collaboration with the police. Meanwhile, a somber atmosphere enveloped the Forensic Pathology Department compound at UMMC in Petaling Jaya, where the victim's family gathered on Tuesday. They arrived around 2 p.m. to receive updates on the ongoing post-mortem examination. Despite wearing face masks, the family members appeared visibly distraught as they waited in the area. They declined to speak to the media and were seen leaving at about 4:15 p.m. Media personnel were kept outside the compound, which was under tight security by auxiliary police at the entry and exit points. In the meantime, Inspector General of Police Datuk Sri Muhammad Khalid Ismail assured that schools across the country are still safe for children despite the recent reports of bullying, physical violence and sexual misconduct that have drawn public attention. Khalid noted that such incidents represent only a small fraction when compared to the total number of schools, students and teachers nationwide.
Kalau kita lihat daripada segi jumlah sekolah itu sendiri, lebih daripada 10,000. Student pun saya percaya beratus ribu. Ya. dan kita ada guru-guru lebih daripada 400,000. Jadi polis sentiasa bekerjasama dengan pihak sekolah bagi memastikan keselamatan.
He said this after launching the anti-bullying campaign program in the capital earlier on Tuesday. Khalid also urged parents to closely monitor their children's activities outside of school, including their use of technology and social media, to protect them from harmful influences. In the Dewan Rakyat Parliamentary Special Select Committee on Women, Children and Community Development Chairperson Yeo Bee Yin said the Education Ministry and the police will be called to appear before the committee to address the recent cases of violent crime in schools. Yeo, who is also the Member of Parliament for Puchong, expressed sadness and disappointment that such incidents could occur in schools, describing them as quote-unquote madness.
Saya rasa heads must roll untuk kejadian-kejadian besar seperti ini. Kita tidak boleh lagi sangat lenient untuk pegawai-pegawai ataupun siapa yang terlibat dalam kes-kes jenayah ini. Kerana apa yang akan berlaku ialah anak-anak kita yang akan cedera dan ada yang akan mati.
Yeo added that after the hearing, the committee would table a report on school safety under the Education Ministry during the Dewan Rakyat session and hoped that it would be debated. She also stressed that the immediate priority is for the executive branch, particularly the ministry, to take prompt action to ensure schools are safe once again. Malaysia has declared its readiness to deploy a peacekeeping mission to help maintain security and stability in Gaza. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the proposal will be discussed within the Arab League and the Organisation of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, before being presented to the UN Security Council for approval.
Sebaik Security Council, Majlis Keselamatan Bangsa Bersatu setuju, Malaysia bersedia kalau diminta, diperlukan. Selama ini kita tak pernah menolak. Ada saja pasukan pendamai, kita akan kirim. Dan saya setuju pasukan pendamai itu sekurang-kurang jaminan yang terbaik untuk menjamin keamanan untuk Gaza.
Speaking during Prime Minister's question time in Parliament, Anwar said Malaysia, together with Japan, will also focus on rebuilding critical infrastructure in Gaza. The Sharm el-Sheikh peace agreement was signed on Monday by leaders of the United States, Egypt, Qatar and Turkey, although Israel and Hamas were not represented. The deal sets out an initial 60-day ceasefire, the delivery of humanitarian aid and a prisoner exchange as part of its first phase. At a separate event, Anwar said the current ceasefire in Gaza must function as a doorway to rebuild the land and restore the dignity of Palestinians. The plan is crucial towards efforts to uphold the rights of Palestinians to live freely in their own land. Speaking at the Kuala Lumpur conference on a new, just and humane international order on Tuesday, Anwar stressed that Malaysia does not want the 20-point peace initiative proposed by US President Donald Trump to become yet another temporary truce that fails to deliver lasting peace.
We will welcome, of course, the initiative, even if by President Donald Trump. But we must be honest enough to state that we do not want another pause between wars. We are dealing with Netanyahu and his cabinet, who made no pretensions. They are not going to honor that.
On Trump's upcoming presence at the 47th ASEAN Summit later this month, Anwar said Malaysia will maintain a firm and consistent position, as it previously did with former President Joe Biden. He added that true diplomacy should go beyond appeasement or image building and instead focus on practical measures to safeguard national interests and ensure lasting peace. At the same event, Polity Executive Chairperson Nurul Izzah Anwar urged Malaysia to take a stronger approach in defending international law and condemning the injustices faced by the Palestinian people. Nurul Izzah said the ongoing tragedy in Palestine reflects the abuse of power by global superpowers who continue to violate international law, posing a threat to global justice and security.
Kita tahu apa yang dilakukan terhadap Palestin itu adalah simbol kepada bagaimana yang might is power, perlanggaran undang-undang antarabangsa yang membahayakan bukan sahaja kepada Palestin, mereka menyokong Palestin, tapi seluruh dunia.
The conference, held in collaboration with Polity, a local think tank, aims to pave the way for a fairer global cooperation framework based on accountability, sovereignty and solidarity between developing and developed nations. Also present was Media Prima Berhad Group Chairman Datuk Sri Dr. Syed Hussein Al Junaid. Bullying cases in Malaysia have risen sharply over the past 3 years, having almost doubled since 2022. Inspector General of Police Datuk Seri Muhammad Khalid Ismail said nearly 70% of the cases recorded involved secondary school students. Khalid said a total of 7,681 cases were recorded last year through the Education Ministry's Student Discipline Management System. That's an increase from 6,528 cases in 2023 and 3,883 cases in 2022.
Melihat kepada situasi ini, PDRM komited menyokong semua usaha kerajaan untuk mencegah dan membantras kegiatan bullying, khususnya di sekolah-sekolah, bagi memastikan institusi pendidikan negara ini kekal selamat dan bebas daripada salah laku pelajar.
The top cop also reminded teachers, wardens and school administrators not to conceal any incidents that could compromise student safety. He added that such reminders are issued regularly to reinforce that the safety and well-being of students must remain the top priority. However, while police liaison officers are assigned to every school, he said some institutions still attempt to resolve bullying cases internally without reporting them to the authorities. At the same event, Education Director General Muhammad Azam Ahmad called on all parties, including school administrators, to report any incidents of bullying or sexual misconduct without delay. The Education DG stressed that concealing such issues does not help to create a safer or healthier school environment.
Berikan peringatan, semua gejala negatif ini perlu dilaporkan. Walaupun setiap hari dilaporkan adanya gejala negatif among seksual bully, tetapi itulah yang perlu kita laksanakan supaya semua gejala negatif ini mendapat perhatian.
Azam also urged school administrators to develop better strategies to strengthen student character and values as part of the education system. Sacked Bersatu Supreme Council member Datuk Wan Saiful Wan Jan said he would be reviewing the decision by the party's disciplinary board to consider his next course of action. He added that he would be meeting with other Bersatu leaders and members who were also sacked and suspended to discuss whether or not to file an appeal. Wan Saiful, who is also the Tasik Glugur Member of Parliament, said that he and 5 others received letters from the board on the disciplinary action against them late Monday night without any reasons stated.
Jadi ini adalah satu perkhidmatan yang cekap yang saya puji kepantasan dan kecekapan sampai tengah malam boleh overtime. Surat-surat tersebut dihantar melalui WhatsApp kepada kami. Jadi saya dan rakan-rakan akan meneliti keputusan yang dibuat oleh lembaga disiplin.
Other sacked members include Muhammad Azruddin Mad Idris, Muhammad Faisal Asmar, Muhammad Fadli Ismail and Muhammad Isa Muhammad Said, while Machang MP Wan Ahmad Faisal Wan Ahmad Kamal was suspended for 1 term. According to Bersatu's statement on Tuesday, the dismissal was based on due investigation and proper consideration without any interference from external parties and was conducted in a fair and impartial manner. All 5 have been given 14 days to submit their appeals. Malaysia will require 2.4 trillion ringgit in cumulative investments over the next 2 decades to meet its long-term climate and development goals. Acting Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability Minister Datuk Seri Johari Abdul Ghani said climate resilience is not merely an environmental investment but demands a redesigned financial architecture.
While the scale of investment is significant, the cost of inaction is far higher. If we don't do anything, the cost is much higher in the future. Across the region, we are already witnessing how climate change has affected food security, energy pricing, supply chains, and public health.
Johari said this in his keynote address at the Kuala Lumpur Sustainability Summit 2025 on Tuesday. He explained that preliminary estimates suggest ASEAN will need 1.78 trillion ringgit by 2030 to meet its long-term climate and development goals. The effort also calls for the use of innovative financial instruments and blended financing models alongside consistent policies to give investors the confidence to adopt a long-term approach to green investments. Britain's unemployment rate has edged up to the highest level in over 4 years, adding to the country's economic strains ahead of the government's annual budget. The National Statistics Office, in a statement on Tuesday, said the rate reached 4.8% in the 3 months to the end of August, the highest level since the first half of 2021. This compared with unemployment at 4.7% in the 3 months to the end of July. The data comes as Britain endures stagnant growth and stubbornly high inflation around 6 weeks before the Labour government sets out its latest tax and spending plans. Two teenagers killed in motorcycle MPV crash. This and more after this breather.
Dan apabila bayi ini ditemui, dia ada stokin dalam mulut. Seumpama dia suffocated melalui stokin ke dalam mulut.
Bahawa di situlah dia tanam bayi bersama-sama dengan pakaian yang dibaluti oleh bayi di dalam tanah.
Pada satu hari beliau mendapat panggilan dari tertuduh kedua perempuan dan beliau ke asrama atau tempat tinggal tertuduh kedua tersebut.
MHI minggu ini.
Belanjawan 2026 terus memperkasa rakyat dan memacu ekonomi madani.
Wabak influenza semakin mengganas. Jaga kesihatan diri anda dan keluarga.
Nak buat konten di media sosial pun kena ada adab dan etikanya. Bukan main tercharge je.
Kena lagi makanan proses dijual di kantin sekolah. Amalkan pemakanan yang berkhasiat.
Miskin selepas bersara, di manakah silapnya?
Isnin hingga Jumaat jam 10 pagi.
Eksklusif di TV3 dan tonton.
Hello, anda sudah menyaksikan saya di televisyen. Kini giliran jenama anda untuk menyerlah. Di konten media terhangat, Media Prima membawakan kandungan yang paling berpengaruh dan tawaran pengiklanan yang paling hangat untuk mengetengahkan jenama anda. Jadi, jangan berlengah. Tempat adalah terhad. Jumpa di saya.
Welcome back. The ASEAN Operations Team, or AOT, a regional group aimed at strengthening cooperation in security matters, is expected to be formed ahead of the ASEAN Summit in Kuala Lumpur later this month. The team will serve as a key mechanism to ensure the continuation of the ceasefire agreement between Cambodia and Thailand. The matter was agreed upon during Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi's courtesy calls on Cambodian Senate President Hun Sen and Prime Minister Hun Manet in Phnom Penh.
Dan mereka mengharapkan ketika sidang kemuncak ASEAN yang akan datang, perkara yang menimbulkan perbalahan antara kedua negara ini akan dapat mencapai persetujuan bersama.
Zahid, who was on a 3-day working visit to Phnom Penh until Wednesday, added that Malaysia and Cambodia also agreed to explore new areas of cooperation, particularly in the halal food industry. The Halal Industry Development Council chairman further said Malaysia could share its experience, expertise in certification, development of halal industrial parks and best practices. This, he said, would help Cambodia develop a strong and credible halal ecosystem within the framework of the proposed ASEAN Halal Council. In Johor, the body of a man whose car plunged into Sungai Pancur in Paguh Muar was found and recovered by rescuers early Tuesday morning. The victim, Muhammad Husni Mahmud, aged 47, was found inside his vehicle at about 1 a.m. after an 11-hour search and rescue operation. Muar Deputy District Police Chief Superintendent Muhammad Aidil Roneh Abdullah said the victim was a human resources officer at a timber factory in Batu Pahat. The car was found at a depth of 15 metres and about 50 metres from the riverbank. Initial investigations revealed that the vehicle had stopped by the riverside parking area around 2:30 p.m. on Monday before the incident occurred. A post-mortem was conducted at Sultanah Fatimah Specialist Hospital, where family members were present to identify the body. In Terengganu, 2 Form 1 students were killed on their way to school when the motorcycle they were riding crashed into an MPV along Jalan Bukit Keluang in Besut on Tuesday morning. One Muhammad Shahroni, one Rosli, and Nick Akil Faizin Nick Abdul Aziz, both aged 13, died from severe head and body injuries in the 7:30 a.m. accident. District Police Chief Superintendent Azamuddin Ahmad said the MPV was turning right at a junction when the motorcycle collided with the front of the vehicle. The 2 students from Kampung Air Tawa were killed on the spot and their bodies were sent to Besut Hospital for post-mortem. The case is being investigated under the Road Transport Act for causing death by reckless or dangerous driving. Shahroni's remains were later laid to rest at the Kampung Batu Lapan Muslim Cemetery, Seberang Kastam, while Nick was buried at the Kampung Tanjung Demong Muslim Cemetery. 9 Palestinians killed in Israeli strike despite ceasefire. The details when Nightline returns.
If you don't understand, this is all I have. I'm nothing without this suit.
If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it. Hey, Pedro.
तुम मेरी जिंदगी के बारे में जानते क्या? पति ने मारा है बॉयफ्रेंड ने?
पति ने
फ्रेंड मॉम मुझे आपसे प्राइवेटली कुछ बातें करनी है.
원래 모습으로 돌아오긴 힘드신 거죠.
난 아빠한테 못되게만 굴었거든.
시아가 아저씨 기다리고 있어요.
우영이 좋아해. 뭐? 에린이 너도 그렇게 알고.
남편분 참 좋은 분이세요. 차이 같은 형이랑 서연이 모두 위험한 상황이었어요. 두 분 행복하길 바랄게요.
정말 끝내자. 계속 그 생각하면서 후회했어. 너도 후회했잖아.
18 Again, Minggu akhir Rabu hingga Jumaat 11 malam di slot Cam Sarang TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Naga datang! Naga datang!
Selamat datang, Nam Jelaka.
Kampung kita ni tak ada pendekar, tak ada panglima. Tengok aku betul apa.
Nama siapa?
Pendekar telinga berbungkus.
The foreign front. At least 9 Palestinians were killed on Tuesday in an Israeli strike on the Shujaiya neighborhood of Gaza City, despite the ceasefire remaining in effect for a 5th straight day.
اليوم الوضع خطير اقسم بالله العظيم. اليوم الثلاثاء. سامعين ها؟ من الصبح ها؟ اشتباكات عنيفة والقوات كار.
In a separate incident, 2 others were wounded by Israeli gunfire in Khan Yunis. Emergency services in Gaza also reported several injuries after Israeli fire in the Halawa area of Jabalia. The Zionist regime, however, claimed it had targeted suspects approaching its soldiers near a designated ceasefire line. As sporadic violence persists and humanitarian concerns grow, questions remain over whether this truce can lead to lasting peace or if it simply pauses a conflict without resolution. To date, the death toll in Gaza has risen to at least 67,869 Palestinians. Earlier on Monday, efforts to restore peace in Gaza reached a historic milestone, with US President Donald Trump joined by regional leaders from Egypt, Qatar and Turkey in signing a declaration aimed at cementing a ceasefire in the enclave. Speaking at the Gaza summit in Sharm el-Sheikh, Trump described it as a tremendous day for West Asia.
Together we've achieved
what everybody said was impossible. At long last, we have peace in the Middle East, and it's a very simple expression, peace in the Middle East, and we've heard it for many years, but nobody thought it could ever get there, and now we're there.
Trump added that his Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal had reached advanced stages as he met with the regional leaders. According to the declaration, the signatories pledged to pursue a comprehensive vision of peace, security and shared prosperity in the region and praised the progress made towards establishing lasting peace in the Gaza Strip. The statement, however, was short on details, making no reference as to whether the future peace framework would follow a one- or two-state solution. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi said the agreement closes a painful chapter in human history and paves the way towards a two-state solution. In another development, Qatar's Foreign Ministry spokesman Majid Al-Ansari confirmed that discussions on the second phase of the Gaza ceasefire agreement are underway, following the successful completion of the first phase. Meanwhile, elated Palestinians welcomed their loved ones released from Israeli prisons as part of the ceasefire swap deal, under which Hamas freed all remaining hostages from Gaza, in exchange for Israel's release of 1,968 prisoners and detainees.
نسينا النزوح نسينا كل شيء اليوم في فرحة عنا أختي مثلا كانت صديق متوفيين نسيناها طبعا مش نسينا يعني من الفرحة مش عارفة شو بيعبر الواحد واللي بده يفرح واللي بده يعيط.
هي الفرحة منقوصة ترك رفاق ضربه خلفه داخل سجون الاحتلال الإسرائيلي، ولكن هو متيقن ونحن متيقنين بنصر من الله والإفراج عن الأسرى جميعا.
The United Nations reported that over 300,000 Palestinians have moved from southern to northern Gaza in recent days as 173 aid trucks entered the enclave under Trump's 20-point peace plan. In other news, French Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu has suspended the controversial 2023 pension reform until after the 2027 presidential election, a move seen as bowing to pressure from leftist lawmakers to ensure his political survival. Lecornu, who faces 2 no-confidence votes this week, made the announcement in Parliament in a last-ditch bid to secure support for a slimmed-down 2026 budget. The decision marks a rare concession from President Emmanuel Macron, who had touted the reform as a cornerstone of his economic legacy. France now finds itself in the midst of its deepest political crisis in decades, with fragile minority governments struggling to push deficit-cutting budgets through a divided parliament. On to sports now with some football news. Harimau Malaya extended their fine run in the 2027 AFC Asian Cup qualifiers with a dominant comeback 5-1 win over Laos at the Bukit Jalil National Stadium in Kuala Lumpur on Tuesday night. Laos took a surprise lead in the 19th minute and held firm until the break, but Malaysia came roaring back in the second half. Muhammad Faisal Abdul Halim levelled the score in the 59th minute, sparking a wave of goals from the national side. Romel Morales netted twice in quick succession in the 65th and 70th minutes before an own goal from Laos defender Kaman Tapasit made it 4. Paulo Josue then capped off the rout with Malaysia's 5th in the 83rd minute. The emphatic win keeps Peter Klamovski's men top of Group F with a perfect 12 points from 4 matches. Turning to hockey now, and the 2025 Under-21 Sultan of Johor Cup. Malaysia finally broke their winless streak, defeating New Zealand 4-2 in their third match at the Johor Hockey Stadium in Johor Bahru on Tuesday. Pete Navanish put the hosts in front with 2 quick field goals in the 16th and 19th minutes, showcasing sharp finishing inside the D circle. Amar Kushairi Abdul Halim then extended the Young Tigers' lead with another field goal, making it 3-0 before half-time. The Kiwis responded in the second half with Javon Jones converting a penalty corner in the 44th minute, followed by Rocco Ludolf's strike from another penalty corner just 3 minutes later. But Malaysia sealed the game when Muhammad Danish Irfan Muhammad Salvi fired home a late field goal, capping off a commanding performance.
Well, that's all from us. Before we leave, let's take a look as hundreds of freed Palestinian prisoners return home, met with tears, hugs and screams of joy as families reunite across Gaza and the occupied West Bank. With that, I'm Azaria Tagaya. Thank you for watching.